21 years, the Mariners are going to the playoffs. Take us through how you feel and what it was like to be there on Friday.
It's still surreal. It's still a surreal moment for anybody who's been with this team as long as I have. You have a lot of people have lived and died with every pitch this season, and you think back to all the disappointments throughout the past 2 decades and how close they got a couple of times. You thought they had the team, you thought they had the season, it just didn't come up. And for them to win in that fashion, and I was joking around with the guy next to me, not a prediction on any level, totally joking, like, Mariners had 3 hits for the majority of the game. It was tied 1-1. I'm like, this is going to go to the bottom of the 9th. It's going to be a walk-off home run. That's how it's got to go. But it was a total joke. And for it to happen that way, with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th with a full count, and it's the hit that sends you to the plate that ends the longest drought in North American sports. It just amazing. I mean, I had tears in my eyes. I was out in the stands. Beer started flying from every direction, above us, next to us. I mean, people were crying and you're hugging strangers, and it was amazing. It was surreal. It was like, you just can't believe that this moment is actually real and it's happening. The Mariners are going to the playoffs.
So the moment itself, Cal Raleigh, walk-off home run. Where does that rank among plays in Mariners history?
I mean, I know we lean on 95, and that's still a golden moment. We've had it just drilled into our brain year after year after year because there's been no success. If this isn't the top moment, it's got to be one of it. It's in the top 2, 3. I mean, how do you? That's a Hollywood ending. That's a Disney movie. Here's a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in over 2 decades. It's coming down to the final at-bat at home. It's a full count. It's 2 outs. It's bottom of the 9th, game tied. Offense isn't happening. Pinch hitter with a sore thumb. It felt fake. It felt like something you'd see in a Disney movie. So it was so surreal, and the explosion in that building that happened in that moment, and just the disbelief, and again, the tears, and the buildup of emotion over those decades, and seeing people, just that relief and that disbelief on people's face. I mean, I know it's fresh and maybe I'm prisoner of the moment, but right now that's number one. Right now that's number one, because you didn't really have that angst in 95. You didn't have that, man, we've been at this forever. Is this team ever going to be any good? What made that great is it was so unexpected, because Griffey had gotten hurt. They were, 13 games back in August? I mean, it was so out of the blue. It wasn't like, when is this finally going to end? You didn't really have that angst back then. I don't recall as a kid the way you had this, where you had these sort of starts and stops, and are we rebuilding? Are we not rebuilding? What's going on? So, I mean, it was magic, man. It was just a magical moment.
All right, the Mariners, they're 2.5 games back of the Blue Jays for that top wild card spot. Mariners have 4 games left this week. Toronto's got 3. Do you think they can catch that and have that 3-game series here in Seattle this weekend?
It doesn't feel like it. Toronto seems like they're starting to find it a bit in terms of their rhythm. The game yesterday was rough. You feel like you got to win out, is the way it feels. And even as great as that win was, and I was more impressed that they came back and won the next day after partying all night and having a day game the next day. That was almost more impressive that they won that game. But they dropped that finale to the A's, and it feels like you got to take all 4 against the Tigers and hope that the Toronto Blue Jays lose a couple. So can it happen? Certainly it could. Is it likely? No.
All right. Julio Rodriguez, he's expected to return to the lineup today after being out 10 days on the IL with the back injury. What are your thoughts on the state of the team as we're just 4 games away from playoff baseball?
He's huge. He's huge for them offensively, and they need him. I mean, you look at that game, they scored 1 run. They had 3 hits for the majority of that game. I mean, their offense is still very spotty. So to have him will lengthen the lineup. It'll take some of the heat off some of these other guys. It's good to see Mitch and Ty look like they're starting to find it a bit as of late. It'd be great to see J.P. Crawford and anybody, whether it's Frazier or whether it's Dylan Moore, whoever's going to be out there. They've got to find a way to get the offense to be a little bit more consistent. I know it's pitching and defense. The defense has started to turn around again. It was great through the majority of the season, and they kind of hit that lull where just unexpectedly there were gaffes in the field that weren't being made before. So Pitching and defense are going to win for you, but you got to get some level of consistency in your lineup. And I think Julio is big for that. And also taking some of the pressure off maybe others that feel like, okay, he's not here, I got to make up for it. I got to come up with a big hit.
All right, last one for you. First playoff series is going to be over this time next week. If the Mariners do make it through the wild card round and make it to the division series, how are they going to do it?
Pitching and defense. It's going to be pitching and defense. I mean, I think that's the part of the team we could rely on for the majority of the season. Their starting rotation, outside of a couple speed bumps here and there, has been spectacular, and they've been healthy. Same with the bullpen. Yeah, a couple guys are going to go out there, you're going to have bad nights, but overall, in totality, your pitching, bullpen, and starting has been fantastic. Your defense has been fantastic, save for past, month, whatever was going on there. That, to me, is what you rely on. That you can count on because it's been so consistent. The offense, you have a game where you score 12 runs, you have multiple games you score 1. So you look at that road trip they took where they dropped 7 of 10, 5 of those games they scored 1 run. So to me, yeah, the offense can explode. We've seen it happen. What am I counting on? I'm counting on the pitching and defense to get it done for them.